Insecurities are feelings of inadequacy and uncertainty about ourselves. And I think it's safe to say that we've all dealt with insecurities and continue to deal with insecurities throughout our life. Things like Photoshop, Facetune, and filters used on images posted to social media have only escalated the unrealistic expectations we've set for women's body image. But insecurities, at least ones that I've dealt with, go far deeper than physical. They're emotional, intellectual, social, mental. They're way more complex and darker, and usually originate somewhere in our childhood. I've dealt with insecurities for as long as I can remember. And in fact, some of my earliest memories revolve around some type of insecurity I possessed at the time. My insecurities were much deeper than physical. Yes, physical was certainly a factor, but it was often the ones that were more internal that I really struggled with, and that I really saw affecting some of my relationships and my goals, and even my identity. I've come a long way from that younger version of myself. But I think what's more inspiring is that I think I've come a long way from the version I was just a few years ago. The anxious one, the insecure, the lonely, and the confused version of myself. And so in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about 4 things that help me overcome some of my biggest insecurities. Before we get into the video, I just wanted to quickly introduce myself. My name is Bridget, and I am a mindset and confidence coach for introverted women. I also have a free Facebook group, which I'm going to be linking down below. If you are into personal development, you want to change your mindset, work on your confidence, and have more fulfilling relationships, I really recommend you checking out the group. And again, I'm going to be linking that down below. Also, don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful or useful. Comment below what you want to see more from me in my next videos, and subscribe if you are not already subscribed. So let's get into the video. Like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, the insecurities that I dealt with throughout my life were not just physical. They were emotional, they were intellectual, they were social, and they were mental. And it didn't really start out that way. I remember when I was a child, I struggled with my social anxiety, and that affected some of my insecurities related to being awkward, lacking social skills, not feeling like anything I was saying was good enough. But these insecurities, those physical ones and those ones related to social, they morphed and they changed into these more complex ideas. And they kind of bred new insecurities as I was meeting new people and started getting into different stages of my life. Stages where I had to be more independent, or times where I had to meet new people, or times where I just had to figure out things that I was going through emotionally as I was healing through trauma. So right now I'm going to walk you through those 4 things that I mentioned that helped me overcome some of my big insecurities and got me from that point I was in where I was anxious and lonely and depressed to the place I am now where I'm confident and have started to embrace some of the things I used to be insecure about. So the first thing that I needed to do was address and identify what insecurities I was holding about myself. Some of them, at stages in my life, I had to write them down and journal about them and explore them a little bit deeper. But some of them were just straight up looking at myself in the mirror and saying, this is what you're insecure about. But I had to identify in order to address and kind of figure out why some of these insecurities I was holding on to so tightly. I had to ask myself questions like, why did this insecurity originate? And why do I still have this insecurity about myself, even though my life looks very different from how it did years ago? The second thing that I think was really helpful in my journey was looking for the parts about myself that were good or that were positive. I was always one to constantly look at the negative aspects of life and to dwell on those things. So in order to reprogram some of that thinking and that conditioning, I had to really go out of my way and look for the positive things. What did I love about myself? What did I like about myself? I think there were certain points in my life where I would literally sit down and make a list of all the things that I loved about myself. I was looking for more opportunities to see the unique aspects about me. Some of them were physical, some of them were emotional, some of them were about my experiences and, things that I've overcome. Right? What about my life and my experiences and my relationships makes me unique? And I started focusing on those things. This next one was probably the biggest change that I made and was definitely the most helpful. And I need you guys to start doing this right now. Change your self-talk. It is so incredibly important in trying to deal with your insecurities and not letting your insecurities stop you from achieving the things that you want to do. You need to change the way you talk to yourself. When we talk negatively to ourselves, we're putting that in our subconscious. So even when we're not actively thinking about, whatever it is that we're insecure about, beneath that, there is always that thought. And so that thought or that idea might come out in different ways, right? It might come out in a fight with your partner. It might come out in a conversation with your friend, or, when you think negatively about another person. That idea might just be like living below the surface. So we need to change the way we are talking to ourselves. We need to speak in a positive way. Think of it like the way you would talk to your best friend, or the way your best friend would talk to you. They would give you good advice. They would tell you the hard truth, but they are going to lift you up, right? They're not going to push you down. They want to see you succeed, right? So this is what you should want for yourself. So it's super helpful to think of it in terms of you're your own best friend. So you need to start treating yourself like you're your own best friend. And that starts with the way we talk to ourselves. The last thing that I want to mention is something that I only started doing probably like a year or two ago. And it has drastically changed the way I carry myself. It's changed the way I have more confidence in myself. It's changed my relationships. But I started to embrace some of the things that I was previously insecure about. And most of these things that I'm about to talk about right now are related to social anxiety and social awkwardness and being an introvert, right? Because those are the things that I was really struggling with and where a lot of my insecurities kind of stem from. So I used to be really insecure about my awkward tendencies when I was in a conversation. Like, what were my hands doing? What was my facial expression? Are the thoughts that I'm having normal? Or will my next thought or, thing that I'm about to say contribute to the conversation in the right way? Is my idea good enough for this conversation? Or is my thought good enough for this conversation? Does my voice sound weird? Do I sound stupid? So those were the things that were constantly going on in my head during conversation. And so now when I meet new people, or even when I have those deeper conversations with my friends, I will explicitly say, like, I'm awkward. I stumble over my words. I am anxious. And when I say that to a new person, or even when I have those deep conversations, it's like I almost feel a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. The moment you become vulnerable, the moment you become more authentic to yourself and speak that truth is the moment you can really accept who you are and like embrace who you are. For a really long time, I wanted to push those insecurities down. I wanted to run away from what I knew was true about myself because I hated it. I hated those parts about myself and I wanted it to change. But the only way it was ever going to change was when I truly accepted it. So when I can be vulnerable and authentic and true, I'm not having those constant thoughts, right? Because that person already knows that about me. They know that I'm awkward, that I stumble over my words, and that I can be anxious in a conversation. So when I mess up, I'm not thinking about it for, the rest of the conversation. I mess up and I'm done with it. And we're on to the next thought. We're starting over. Embrace your awkwardness. Embrace those things that you think people are judging you for. When you embrace it, when you accept it, and when you tell people about it like you're so happy about it, that's when you can truly let it go. I hope these things were helpful for you guys, anyone who is struggling with insecurities right now or are trying to address some of the things that they were insecure about years ago. I really hope these 4 things work for you, and let me know in the comments what you guys have done to overcome some of your insecurities. Before we end today's video, I just wanted to quickly mention that spots for my free consult are open. So if you are an introverted woman and you want to have more confidence, more fulfilling relationships, and live a more authentic life, make sure you sign up for the consult. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you found it helpful as always, and I will see you guys next time.